Yes. We're going to bring in a cameraman, a UFO videographer in a moment. His name is Jeff Willis, to talk with us about some of the incredible things he has found, he has spotted. He's collected about 50 hours of solid UFO video. Indeed. Next hour, we're going to open up the phone calls, give you an opportunity to talk to Bob Kiviat. But when we come back, we're going to talk with a UFO videographer. His name is Jeff Willis, and you can just call him a video hunter. We'll be back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. And, of course, Bob will stay with us in this conversation. Jeff Willis has been researching UFOs and related phenomena for a total of 25 years. His initial interest in aliens didn't start with a simple UFO sighting. He has been having sightings of UFOs and other odd experiences since 1975, and in 1987, at the age of 17, he moved to Phoenix from Seattle with his family. Skywatching became his full-time activity. After getting his video camera in 1995, Jeff has now been able to get at least 50 hours of solid UFO video. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to Coast to Coast.
Hi, George. It's great to be back on the show again.
Absolutely. I know you were with Art about a year ago, I think, right?
Yeah. Okay,
great. And Bob, let's bring you into... Bob, explain the relationship with Jeff here.
Well, shortly after we did the first show called UFOs, the Best Evidence Ever Caught on Tape, that was focusing purely on UFO footage at Fox, we heard about Jeff. Jeff was one of the first people to present footage of the famous Phoenix Lights event in March 13th, 1997. And Jeff was prolific in getting a very important shot that constituted a package of footage that showed what happened back on that day, famous day in ufology in Phoenix. And we stayed focused on that, Jeff after that. Jeff was very active in getting in touch with our offices here in Los Angeles, letting me know what he was doing as a video hunter. We had not really heard the term video hunter before. I don't know if Jeff was actually calling himself that. Jeff, you could tell me in a minute. But I know we were starting to hear that term very, very at the beginning stage of 1997. So I determined, after seeing Jeff on a couple of news reports and knowing that Jeff was a diligent UFO videographer, that whether he was a UFO hunter or not, he sure acted like one. And I knew that he was so diligent. He would grab his camera. He would keep me up to date. Even when we weren't in production on a show, he would say, Bob, I just got a clip. You got to see it. And we stayed in contact. We developed this relationship. I must tell you that every time Jeff sent me a new DVD or a VHS copy of his footage, it was always better and better. First, it was maybe what we would call, lights in the sky performing in ways that, didn't appear to be flares in any way, shape, and form, under their objects under their own control at night and then in daytime. Then as the footage would get better, we would start to see some sort of almost like saucer-like shape in daylight, blue sky. We were just starting to get more and more impressed. Then the movement of the objects started to get more impressive, circle each other, flip-flop, turn over on each other. Just amazing stuff. In fact, it was matching a little bit of what we were seeing out of Mexico. And in an interview Jeff did for my new shows I'm working on, Jeff, by the way, is going to be featured in the Alien Autopsy Update Expose by showing people at the end of the show what a real flying saucer, in this case on its side, I think something that he talked to Art about, right, Jeff? You've talked to Art about this before.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about my various footage.
Right, this saucer, I got to tell you, is a very big featured item in both the Alien Autopsy True Story show and another new show I'm working on, where we're going to do a whole Jeff Willis segment, literally. And the bottom line is that Jeff is capturing footage that you must say, without a doubt, is real, not faked. It is absolutely, like I said, it's grown to being the latest, I got to tell you, maybe not the latest in terms of dates, because I think it's a couple of years old, but when you see this flying, domed, structured craft, as Jeff says in the interview you just gave me, it's incredible. It is absolutely a quintessential flying saucer, metallic, reflective. I mean, what else can you say? So when people see this in the new show, they're going to realize that whatever Ray Santilli had on film, recreated, restored, it doesn't matter. This kind of footage is showing the footage Jeff has been able to get, and the most recent clips, of course, including this dome saucer. There's no doubt there is some sort of, and by the way, this saucer appears to repel from his home, literally as if it's defying gravity. It seems to move. Jeff will give you all details in a minute, but it seems to move in ways I've never seen before. All caught on video, in camera, no cuts, happens right before your eyes. Got to be one of the best clips ever presented to anyone. Jeff, maybe you could tell us some more about it.
And Jeff, are you just in the right place at the right time? I mean, at least 50 hours of great UFO video, and I haven't seen one in my life.
Well, what you have to do, basically, it's a lot more than 50 hours now. It's quite a bit, maybe 3 times as much.
Really? Okay.
But that's what my bio used to be. But what you really have to do is you have to put yourself in the position to where you're going to videotape these things. And the only way to do that is to spend thousands of hours outside hunting these things down or going to UFO hotspots. I often check the UFO Reporting Center for hot areas, and go out to the location with eyewitnesses, people that have seen the craft in these areas, and we get the video camera rolling, and sometimes we get lucky, sometimes we don't.
Explain to us through your eyes of your camera, Jeff, what has been some of the most compelling things you've seen?
Well, what Bob just described to you is by far, I think, the most compelling footage that I've shot today.
You got to understand, just interject, George, this is a flying domed craft over his house. He comes out to his house. This is over his home. It all happens right on tape. I mean, it is unimpeachable. It is absolutely what it appears to be, whether it's an unknown military device that we've never heard of before, or whether it's an alien craft from an unknown planet, that remains a mystery. But I've never seen in my sky, George, of you, above my homes here in Los Angeles or anything, I've not seen a domed flying craft, metallic, apparently defying gravity, no known form of propulsion seen. I mean, it flies away. We estimate this, what, Jeff? It flies away maybe a mile in like a second?
Yeah, and another thing is it does a U-turn on a dime, which is pretty amazing. Basically, I do have some theories on it. There is the location that I shot the UFO is around the Superstition Mountain area, and Superstition Mountain is notorious for UFO reports, and I a lot of daylight reports as well. And sure enough, you set up a video camera around the location. Like I said before, it's only a matter of time before you start videotaping these things because they are real and they are in our skies.
Are you seeing, like in Phoenix, these large triangular-shaped objects, Jeff?
Absolutely. I've videotaped at least 3 triangular-shaped objects. One is recent, is March 6th. Last weekend, the 20th of this month, I videotaped some more lights north of my house, and I will have that video up on my website tomorrow. And by the way, my website's ufosoverphoenix.com, and I do keep track of these objects all the time. I'm out there all the time waiting for these things.
You better have a good server, Jeff, or we're going to crush it tonight.
And by the way, George, Jeff is one of the people that we focused on the last couple of years, and at the same time we were focusing on Jeff, another group of people have emerged, individuals mainly, but in different parts of the world. One guy has just presented a cache of footage to me that I must tell you will drive my next 2 years of programming. So now it's not only Jeff. I don't want people to think that Jeff Willis is the only person. He's one of the most dedicated and one of the most successful in what he does. But there are other people starting to emerge now that are shooting things that are mind-boggling. And I must tell people that anyone who suggests that there's not a lot of UFO footage being amassed must be either on another planet, literally, or not doing their homework. There's more UFO footage of the flying saucer variety and things that look like actual structured, I would say, craft in the neighborhood of like a Star Trek episode that are being shot both above the Earth and in space, George. And the only thing that I think people need to recognize is that our TV industry, our film industry, are not really focusing on the true information. And we do our best. By the way, I want to compliment you, George. If it wasn't for, as you and, I guess, without a doubt, your listeners heard tonight, you and Art talking tonight, if it wasn't for you and Art Bell keeping this information flowing, people recognizing there's a lot of things happening in our sky that can't be explained as, hoaxes or frauds or things like Ray Santilli is pulled. There's absolute evidence that there are unknown craft in our skies, and Jeff and a few other people are doing the really hard work. There is one case in particular we're looking at, if you can imagine. A guy without filming what appears to be glowing flying saucers, similar to what Jeff shot, but at night, coming in an amazing display, almost like a fleet of UFOs. Sometime later in the early morning, as it starts to get bright, at dawn, a helicopter, a Sikorsky helicopter, a military helicopter, comes in about 10 yards over the ground, literally hovering above this house for maybe 30 minutes as it does the most extraordinary scientific testing I've ever seen a helicopter do. It opens up a huge doorway, a huge camera starts shooting massive pictures. I've never seen anything like it. When the public sees the kind of footage, besides Jeff Willis, that guys are shooting like this other guy I'm telling you about, where a Sikorsky military helicopter is studying him after he shot one of the most extraordinary UFO events at night I've ever seen, people are going to be floored. And I make this comment, by the way, to you, George, about people that have claimed that there's not a lot of UFO footage being shot.
Right.
I can't sugarcoat this. This came from Steven Spielberg himself. In the course of of promoting the War of the Worlds movie, Steven, who I'd love to invite to my offices any day he'd like, he's not too far from me here in L.A., come and see all the footage that's being amassed since my last Fox shows, or even during the Fox shows and all the other material we've aired. How could he claim that there is not, paraphrasing, any good UFO footage being shot by all these video cameras around the world when there was more? He's implying there was more evidence of photos back in the 70s when he was working on Close Encounters and whatnot. And it's very disappointing, and he doesn't think he'll ever see proof of UFOs. Who's gotten to this guy?
Yeah, I was going to say just Jeff's material alone should convince him. Now I respect his films a lot and would love the opportunity to talk to him more about this, but what motivates a statement like that? I have no idea. So all he would have to do is watch any of the Fox shows I've done. Some other producers, especially on cable, have shown a lot of the footage too. What's wrong with that statement? It doesn't seem to even be grounded in a pop culture recognition. No one's recognizing right now that there's a lot of footage. The only problem is TV people seem more interested in things like American Idol, dramatic TV shows about the subject, maybe like Invasion, or shows that have been canceled like Threshold on CBS. I got to tell you, it's time we got our eyes open, and Jeff is helping, and many other people are making it obvious as unknowns in our skies. Jeff, are you convinced that whatever you've been videotaping is from another land, another world?
Absolutely, because of the fact that the motions and the movements that these objects do, there's no way that we have anything like that. Because why would we keep objects, if these are military-made objects, why would we hide these? We would be using them in war right now. Don't you think that we would use the best things that we had in Iraq?
You would think so.
Yeah, you would think so. Now, if some of them are military secret projects, I'm open to it, but I'm also open to the movements that some of these objects make. As far as I'm concerned, there's no way that they're military.
Have you ever been able to see or make out, Jeff, inhabitants of these craft?
No, I've never seen an alien in the window of these things or anything like that. However, I'm still looking for that shot.
Wouldn't that be something? Oh my, if you could get that one.
George, there's a sequence in the one of the other guys we're talking to right now, besides Jeff, where we do see that very much image you're referring to. And it's the first time ever that we've seen an entity on a videotape which seems to be entering the craft that might well be what you're talking about. So we do have some new footage that may indeed show that. And I don't think one could categorically say it's fake. So what we have to look at now is do the hard evidence checking, but you're going to see some very impressive footage of an entity apparently being beamed back up to a ship on video coming out soon.
Does that bother you, Bob, when so many people are faking some of this evidence?
Well, I'll tell you, outside of Ray Santilli, I don't think I have seen outright proof that anyone has ever presented an image like Jeff Willis has that proved to be fake. There might well be a couple of times. I recall a very wobbly UFO that was shown on Mexican television by a building that we were looking at back when we were doing World's Greatest Hoaxes on Fox that looked very much like it must be either amateurishly done in a computer or some kind of not a great job on a special effect. And, of course, we know about a guy named Billy Meyer in Switzerland.
Oh, yes.
That apparently was able with one arm. You got to give a guy a lot of credit. Sadly, he had been handicapped years before in a bus accident and literally had one arm. And with one arm in the 70s, he was able to float some sort of craft that and clearly fake some. Now, did every image result as a fake by Billy Meyer? Well, we did a show in World's Greatest Hoaxes. We showed this. It looks like his wife pretty much showed his ex-wife. You know those ex-wives can be, guys, right? Well, the ex-wife came and showed implements, literally covers to garbage can lids that Billy used in some of his most extraordinary images.
A pretty sophisticated garbage can lids.
Yeah, but I will say this. He had an entire, I would say, ufological almost kingdom going at one point in the 70s and 80s where people were flocking to his farm in Switzerland. Right, Jeff? I mean, you know this. People were literally coming to his farm saying, hey,
true.
Come on. But the bottom line is not believable. Most of it seems to be faked. But you take the Jeff Willis image and some of this other stuff I'm referring to that we're about to unveil, I don't think we're talking about fakery here.
Was there anything you videotaped, Jeff, that you eventually could have identified as being man-made?
Well, yeah, we tape a lot of stuff in the sky, and when we play it back, we rule out, the stuff that maybe could be balloons or it could be a misidentification, like a reflection off of a plane that just made the plane look saucer-shaped in the sky, stuff like that. Because I tape hundreds of hours of stuff, and when we boil it all down, we get to the bottom of it, and we present all of the stuff that is truly unknown and strange. And basically what does it for me is if the object isn't making a strange maneuver, or if it doesn't look like a flying saucer or some sort of V-shaped triangle object or something strange in the sky, I can pretty much, rule it out, rule out anything conventional and just get down to, hey, this is something unknown in the sky that, we need to present to the public, to show the public that these things are in the sky and these things are unknown objects.
You're going to keep watching the skies, Jeff?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, by the way, a group of people also watching not the skies but space right now are all the astronauts that go into space on any of these new missions, guys. The amount of footage that has been captured by astronauts to the space shuttle missions and the Mir missions and the International Space Station, it's mind-boggling that the government does not share what has been recorded down on the Earth of these downlinks from NASA's imagery. So I got to tell you, not only in space, but also in our skies, you can actually show some of the same images or craft, if you will, that have been videotaped in space seem to be coming into our own atmosphere, and you can actually make a case, I believe, that we have the same kind of objects both in space and in our skies.
Stay with us. We'll be back with questions with our guest, Bob Kiviat. And Jeff, thanks, and keep watching the skies for us. I'm George Noory, back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM.